Hi everyone, it's Katie Rose from Attached Families. I'm coming to you tonight just to give you a few updates. Things have been going pretty good for 2020 so far, so that's pretty awesome. It's only, I think like 12 days into the year, and it's already going pretty good, and I think we're off to a really good start. So we have been accepted to C20 through Social Venture Partners of Charlotte, and it's C20 Charlotte. If you don't know what that is, by all means, please Google it. And if you're in the North Carolina, South Carolina region, we would love it if you would come to C20 on stage, which is on March 31st, and you can totally pick up your tickets online. There's links on our Facebook page, our website, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. So definitely check them out. They're an amazing tool. I really don't know how to put it into the perfect words, but they help nonprofits with innovative ideas get off the ground, get known, get heard about. They help them with their pitch speech. They help them, you know, through coaching, how to give that great pitch that's got the energy and the passion and stuff that you know, will get people fired up. And everybody knows how I feel about developmental trauma disorder and reactive attachment disorder and all those other DXs and letters and everything that comes after our children's names that really, at the end of the day, all come back to trauma and their brain's not developing properly. So, yeah, so we're very excited about C20. We are proud to have been picked as one of the 20. It's truly an honor, and we'll keep you updated as things go. But if you are in the greater Charlotte areas, North Carolina, South Carolina, we would love it if you would come and be a part of the audience and, you know, and just see how amazing this program is. And hopefully, after I get some coaching sessions, they haven't happened yet, obviously, because I still say things like, yeah, now I can't stop saying it because I'm thinking about it. You'll hopefully see that I don't say that as often, and that my speaking engagements with you are a little more polished, maybe a little less me. I don't know how that's gonna work, because I usually like to just kind of shoot it straight from the hip. But you know, I'm looking forward to having the coaches. So tonight I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what's been going on lately with attached families. So, you know, it's been a rough week this last week. Quite a lot of families in crisis, and I don't usually tout this to, you know, the public, and I don't know how many of you believe, but I don't know if it had something to do with the full moon, the wolf moon. You know, I definitely was with one of my families on the phone when I was like, I need to call it, you know, just put you on speaker and Google if it's a full moon this week, because like that's how many families were in crisis this week, or, you know, court cases that just weren't going right, or things that make perfect logical sense to us as parents and caregivers, but as you know, can to the outside world just, you know, be made to sound awful or wrong. And that's one of the hardest hurdles for us to jump, and I know I've said it to you guys before. I've made many posts about it, but you really can make any sentence, any action, any picture, anything out of context can be awful. And it also has to do a lot with how you felt about the interaction, or what you think about that person. So, for example, completely like off topic, but say you went on a date and you had the worst time. The guy, the girl, whoever you went out with was kind of, definitely not for you, a little creepy, a little whatever. You're driving home, and like 5 minutes after you get in the car, you get that text, and he's all like, oh, it was the best time, I can't wait to see you again, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, ew, like stalkery much? Like, we just left, right? But say you were head over heels and thought it was the greatest date in the world, and the guy was fabulous, or the girl, whatever. And you get in a car, and you get that text 5 minutes later, and your heart skips a beat, and you're like, oh, that's so sweet. Same exact thing happened. It's just your perception of the person changed your perception of their action after the fact. So I use that example because I'm trying to get society to understand that their perception that, the parents, we collectively as parents of children with developmental trauma disorder or reactive attachment disorder. I saw some comments on the show The Doctors the other day online, that, we were trying to blame the kids or, make the kids out to be bad and, don't take responsibility for it ourselves, put all the blame on the children and like we were awful people. And, that's just in trying to educate people that these brain disorders exist. We don't think our children are bad people. We don't think that at all. Our children have severe behaviors. They have issues detecting cause and effect. They have impulsivity issues. They have trauma and some anger issues, but that's all part of the brain not being developed properly. So when we're out there and we're trying to educate society and we're trying to explain that sometimes the child can't live in the home because of their particular behaviors, or sometimes that's why parents are forced to give up a child that they've adopted, and that's a whole other segment. Like, the forced give up is something that makes me insane, but I can only tackle so many problems of this system and this world that we live in at a time. So I really have to start to just focus in on what my main goal is. Otherwise I will be trying to change everything at the same time, and that'll never work. But yes, we are sometimes forced to not allow our children to live in our homes, or some of my families have been put in a position where they had no choice but to disrupt their adoption. That's why I created Attached Families. I wanted families to have the proper support that they needed. I wanted families to have someone to vent to, someone to cry to, someone to share, their isolated, deepest, darkest secrets with, because we can't just come out and tell people things, because oftentimes things are taken out of context and can be used against you. Like, I wrote a thank you note to a social worker, and somehow that was used against me. I submitted into evidence because I said thank you for your assistance, or something to that matter. Forgive me for having been brought up with manners. But so we always have to watch literally everything we say, everything we do. Everything is scrutinized. And if you lived in a life where every single thing you said and did was scrutinized, if everything that went on inside your home was looked at under a microscope, you would want to stay in the shadows too. As you can see, I don't. So I speak for my family. So when I share stories or share, things that happen, they're not necessarily things that I've even experienced or that my children have done, because I'm sharing the stories of the collective, and because someone has to speak for everyone. And I've volunteered to be that person. It's just a fact. I've volunteered to be that person. I will speak for all of my families when I say that change needs to happen. We will not stop until our children get the proper treatment. We will not stop until we see things like neurofeedback being offered to children who are brought into foster care, who are adopted out of foster care. Any child who has, this brain that hasn't been developed properly should eventually be given the option to get the proper treatment. I can't fix it for everyone. It happens in bio families. It happens in overseas adoptions. It happens in areas where people live where there's a lot of violence or gangs, and children are witnessing these awful things that their brains don't develop properly. So we have to start somewhere, and that start is foster care and adoption from foster care. And once we get the people to realize that giving these children the neurofeedback and the biofeedback that can then lead to, all of the different types of therapies that just don't work until we get the connectivity of the brain working with the neurofeedback, biofeedback systems, then we can move on to the different types of therapy, the attachment therapy, the narrative therapy, the trauma therapy. Those things can all work, and the brain can be open to it once we've gotten the brain working properly. So that's our goal. We want to do whole family support, treatment, crisis line, be there as a support for the parents and caregivers and foster parents and kinship parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever you are. We want to be the support system that you can talk to in a safe space without ever being judged. In fact, we take it very seriously. There's no judgment allowed. You're out if you judge anybody for anything they say. And we want to also help the children and the glass children heal. So we want to heal the brains of the traumatized children, but we also have to take into account that the siblings that were living with this chaos, they now have things like anxiety and PTSD, secondary PTSD. They have all these feelings and emotions and things from living with a child who has trauma. So, and the parents do too. So that's our goal. Our goal is to speak for families, to educate and advocate to society, so that you out there understand what we're actually living with, and to be a safe space for our families, and to offer, once we have funding, that fundamental piece, that last piece of actually being able to get our families the biofeedback equipment so they can do it at home, or have the funds to get families neurofeedback, eventually have enough funds that we can get more therapists trained and owning the equipment to do neurofeedback, and then eventually have neurofeedback practitioners in every PRTF. I mean, we can literally change the course of a child's life if we start at the beginning with helping to fix their brain. So I just wanted to check in. I wanted to update you guys the first 12 days of January of 2020. I still can't believe it's 2020. I'm so still stuck in the 90s. I don't even know where the 2000s went, to be quite honest with you. But 2020 it is. Reminder to everyone to please hit that subscribe button and share. The only way we can educate and advocate for awareness is sharing. And the only way we can get change is if we educate and advocate for awareness. So sharing equals educating and advocating for awareness, which equals change. Because until we get society on board with the fact that this is unacceptable, that our children are in need of services and they are literally not only not getting them, but are being given the wrong services. So again, the diabetic who's being given an EpiPen, not going to help. I don't care how many times you give them an EpiPen. I don't care how much money you're willing to waste on giving them an EpiPen every single day instead of just giving them insulin. It's never going to work. And that's exactly what's happening with our children. We are constantly being forced into giving them treatments we know are not going to work in hopes of proving to insurance companies and Medicaid that they need more help. It's a game. It's a roller coaster. It's this merry-go-round that you have to go on over and over and over and over again. It's exhausting. Anyway, it was a rough week for my families. I'm hoping this week is going to be better. Sunday night, start fresh tomorrow. Meeting with a gentleman, I think, who's running for state senator tomorrow. So that should be exciting. I'll definitely update you guys about that. And as always, I love you. I love all of my families. Katie Rose, good night.